Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome to the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. We're so glad that you could join us today. Such a pleasure to have you on with us. We're actually on a really amazing show with successful entrepreneurs and business experts who are going to be sharing powerful stories, some really wonderful takeaways to help you gain the tips, tools, and tactics, as well as a free weekly gift to help you thrive. Your hosts for the Imagine More Success radio show are the best-selling author Cindy Hendricks, who's a certified business consultant, and Thomas Hydes, a certified world-class public speaking coach. Be sure to check out the Imagine More Success radio show at imaginemoresuccess.net, where you can find previous episodes with past experts, as well as our list of courses at findhiddenmoney.com, where you can learn all about how to create the goals in your life that you want, as well as how to achieve them. Today, we're going to jump in, and we're going to have a really wonderful show today. Cindy, glad you could be with us today.
Hey, Thomas.
Always a wonderful day. The topic that we're going to be focusing on today is really the idea of what's termed the new media. And we've got some really fantastic content for you today. We're going to be talking about how you can turn your business and you into the expert within your field. You're going to literally learn how to become an in-demand expert. And we're going to be speaking with Adam Hommey, who is the executive director at indemandexpert.com. Cindy, you spent some time with Adam. You were actually on his radio show, which was a fantastic interview. What do you think?
I'm so excited to learn from Adam because he does have some amazing ideas. And I'm going to be tuning in to find some of those expert ideas for our show.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to take a moment to tell you a little bit more about Adam. Adam is actually a speaker, author, and a trainer, as well as a consultant, and has nearly 20 years experience with helping business creators win at the game of business and marketing so that you can thrive from that very powerful intersection of your brilliance and your passion while you're making a difference in the community, as well as in the marketplace and with your audience. And his company is actually based around a spring formula, which is outlined in Adam's groundbreaking Amazon international bestseller, which is called Groundhog Day is an Event, Not a Business Strategy. If that's not a wonderful title, I don't know what is. Groundhog Day is an event, not a business strategy. Very, very good stuff. He's done a lot of work helping other people launch their business and he specializes in creating a very powerful host to guest relationship when it comes to creating any sort of media, including podcasts, radio shows, um, anything that has to do with the new media, whether it's also interviews on social media. He's got a really wonderful show. It's called Business Creators Radio Show, and it's one of the longest running entrepreneurial podcasts on the air today with over 300 episodes and still counting because the show is still going on. Over the years, he's been on many shows as a guest in his own right. And in addition to everything else that he's done, he's consulted and led the launches of several popular new media shows. Adam Hommey is his name, and he is with us today. Adam, welcome to Imagine More Success.
Oh, pleasure to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity to do what I can to provide value for your listeners, audience, and tribe.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, and you know what, Adam? We are right behind you, nipping at your heels, coming up on our first 100 shows.
All right.
We're doing we're doing the best we can do. We're staying with it.
Yes, we are.
Adam, I know that you've done some really fantastic work with some of your clients. You had a really interesting client story that you wanted to share with the listeners today. Tell us a little bit about your client story.
Well, I have lots of stories like that, and I can tell you one that I think sort of encapsulates the value of this. When we think of using the new media, and by new media, I include podcasts, live streams, radio shows, and webinars, and what I call the new media. It's the idea of using the technology and the benefits we've gained from the democratization of information so that we can get our message out, we can reach new audiences in new ways. Now, I had this one client, I'll just use one example, and he wanted to expand his coaching program. Obviously, the idea of doing a lot of networking events wasn't really going to play out well for him because, first of all, it's not really a local business, and second of all, he just doesn't like doing it. Then there's also the issue that his company is global, so it's not like it's something where you can just go to a bunch of networking events in his own local area, but the idea of reaching out to people and cold calling and inviting people to quote unquote free strategy sessions, and we know what that's really all about, wasn't really appealing to him. So my recommendation was that he start his own podcast, because one of his ideas was that he himself become a guest on more shows. And he is doing that. He's becoming a guest on more and more shows. But at the same time, I suggested that he start his own. And here are the reasons why you'd want to start your own show. Reason number one is it gives you the opportunity to invite people to have conversations with you. I know myself, when people ask me if I can meet for coffee so that they can pick my brain, I say, I don't drink coffee and you're not sticking instruments in my brain. It's just not happening. But then, Sydney and Tom, I'll ask, I'll say, all right, so we've already established I'm not coming down to Starbucks, but do you have a podcast? And they'll say, yeah. I'll say, cool. Well, here's what you do. Put me on your show, promote the hell out of it, and then ask me all your questions. I'll give you my best stuff, because I'll be sharing some great information that you can use, that your audience can use. And in exchange, I'll be getting some opportunity to meet your audience and gain some additional exposure for what I'm doing. And you'll get that in turn, because I'll promote your episode through my channels and my networks. So it's really a win-win-win for everybody. And I don't even have to fix my hair, much less travel anywhere to do it.
Yeah, and if you don't love coffee, you don't have to sit there and torture yourself drinking some pumpkin spice latte in the middle of October.
Ew, that doesn't even sound good.
So you asked.
Right. So that's really reason number one, is it creates a new form of networking for you, and it spares you from having to do quite that many free consults or coffee meetings or anything like that. Now, reason number two is it allows you to create a body of content. So let's say that you have some information you want to share with your audience, but you yourself don't want to write it down, but you have an expert who can share it for you. That's one of the reasons that having your own show is very valuable, because as you become an established thought leader for your tribe, they look to you for all sorts of information. And if you can provide additional relevant information to them, value, resources, tips, training that you don't necessarily do yourself, but you can bring somebody in who will have your endorsement to do it for you, that's basically the same as you creating that content because you are the conduit through which it gets provided. And then the third reason is it creates reciprocity. So I reach out to you and I say, hey, I have this podcast and the podcast is about A, B, and C, and I'd like you to be a guest. Now, think how many people, when they're invited to be on a show, rather than pitching themselves to be on a show, but they're invited to be on a show, are going to say, wow, they thought about me? Cool, I'll do it. And think about how that makes them feel, the willingness that they're going to have to share. One example could be that person being invited, well, they have a show too, so we'll do a reciprocal exchange and maybe just space it out a month or two so they're not back to back. Or they may think, yeah, I might actually consider working with this person because, yeah, that thing that they're coaching on, that thing that they're doing is something that I could use, or I happen to know somebody who needs that right now and I'll happily make the referral. So number one, networking tool. Number two, content creation. And number three, it creates reciprocity that leads to more business.
Wow.
I love that.
You know, what's really cool is I think that there are a lot of people that I've met who actually have started podcasts, and I don't think that they think about it in that way. I think that's a very kind of unique perspective, and it brings more value to what they're doing, and it gives them, I think, a much better, bigger perspective about what they're doing.
Well, here's where people make mistakes sometimes when it comes to launching new media shows, podcasts, live streams, internet radio, even their webinars. They look at, well, what kind of download stats and listener stats do we get? I had a case where I had a PR firm that kept coming to the Business Creators Radio Show website. That's my show. And they would fill out our application form with somebody who was a client of theirs who they were pitching for us to have on as our guest. And I said yes to 3 of them in a row. And every time after I said yes, we'll have this person on the show, then the agent of the PR firm writes to us separately and says, yeah, a week ago we filled out your form for so-and-so to be on your show, and just we need you to tell us your download stats and your listener stats because my client is really busy and they need to maximize their time so they're only on high volume shows. And my response in all 3 cases was that our download and listener stats are none of your damn business. And see, here's another tactic, and this is for your listeners. When you are giving interviews, it's okay to occasionally create pattern interrupts like I just did. Many folks, when they're listening to podcasts, live streams, and what have you, will listen to them in the background while they're doing other things. Maybe they're jogging, maybe they're driving, maybe they're actually doing work. When I'm doing work, I'll stream some of my favorite podcasts in the background and allow through osmosis and suggestion some of the lessons from those podcasts to seep into my brain while I'm doing other things. When you optimize your brain, you can do things like that. And when as I'm thinking about this, you don't really.
Adam, you want to hang on to that thought because we're going to come back in just a moment. When we come back, we're going to hear more from Adam Hommey. We're going to be talking about how to create pattern interrupts in your broadcast media when we come back on the Imagine More Success radio show.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shamans worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions. offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Path Home Shamanic Art School proudly presents the Gathering of Shaman 2019 Fall Retreat, Manifestation Samhain. Join me, certified shamanic instructor Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magnificent Colorado Mountains this November 2nd and 3rd for a life-changing event. Participate in unique teachings and ceremonies that'll put the power and magic of shamanic manifestation into your hands. Sit in circle with like-minded individuals, sharing group energy and the power it generates. Classes will be held in a facility next to the beautiful, majestic Arkansas River, further empowering the experience. Space is limited, so reserve your spot today. For more information, visit findyourpathhome.com or email touchin@findyourpathhome.com.
You're back on the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. In our previous segment, we heard from Adam Hommey, who is here with us today sharing his expert advice on how you can become an in-demand expert. Previously, we were talking about what he terms the new media, which is webinars, podcasts, live streams, radio shows. And in that previous segment, we were also talking about, just as we ended, how you can create a pattern interrupt, because so many people listen to this new media while they're doing something else. They're using it like a background player in their life, whether they're jogging, running, doing exercises they really don't want to do, or if they're doing it while they're cleaning the house, typically tasks that are mundane and not something they want to be doing at the moment. Adam, tell us more about that pattern interrupt cycle that you love to create within the new media.
Okay, I want to back up just one step and just briefly finish why I told that PR agency that our download and listener stats are none of their damn business.
Please do.
It's because I wanted to help them with a frame of what is the value of being on the show. I have had cases where listeners and guests on my show have connected and have created 5-digit deals. I have a client of mine who we're in our 4th year of working together. And they showed up on my calendar one day. I had no idea who they were. What happened is they heard me on a podcast somewhere. They can't remember if it was mine or somebody else's. They can't remember the topic. They can't remember what I said. All they remember is that they heard me on a show somewhere, and something about what I said led them to think, I should reach out to this guy. Maybe he'd be somebody who could help me with my business. And they scheduled themselves on my calendar. We made a $30,000 deal off of that. So if you're only thinking about download and listener stats, you're missing the point of networking, going back to part 1. Now, pattern interrupts is just the idea that you break the white line fever that people get when they listen and blah, blah, blah. And it starts to turn into the teacher from that cartoon Peanuts.
Wah, 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 wah.
Exactly. So you say things. Maybe they're controversial. Maybe they're shocking. Maybe it's just a matter that you change your vocal inflections. Like in segment 1, where I got to the point where I said, yeah, and I told them it was none of their damn business. You notice how I abruptly shifted my tonality. I sped it up. I raised the decibels so that phrase would really jump out and I'd say, whoa, what did he just say? Now They're leaning in. For the same reason, when I get up on stages around the country and I speak on various topics, one way or another, I find a way to work into my presentation where I'll say to the folks in the audience, and if there's one thing you probably have in your business that if you have it right now, you need to get rid of it because you don't need it and you don't want it. So if you have this, stop doing it. The last thing you need or want in your business is to get traffic to your website. And then I pause.
People just stop, don't they?
Now,
and their mouths drop open.
Exactly. Now, because I know we only have X amount of time here, I'll skip straight to the punchline. I cover this in detail in my book, Groundhog Day is an Event, Not a Business Strategy. But the point being is I encourage people to instead seek visitors to their web pages who are pre-qualified, prepped, and pumped. So what we're doing is we're taking a concept and we're redefining it by renaming it. So while you have 100 competitors in your market who are saying, we help you get more traffic to your website. Well, you may be helping them get more traffic to their website too, but you're taking the contrarian and pattern interruptive position that, no, you don't want traffic to your website. And then people listen to what you're really saying, which is visitors to your web pages, which is changing the language so you become the automatic number one, and also showing that you've really thought through what traffic to your website really means, and that you have sort of a plan around how you're going to deliver more value to their search engine marketing, their visitor attraction, their advertising, whatever strategies you're helping them manage. Now, a final piece I'm going to throw in. If you're listening closely to part one, you notice that I'd start to make a point, then I'd go off on this little tangent, then I'd swoop back around, and sometimes I'd start a thought but never finish it. Actually, that's strategic because what I was doing was opening loops. If you have a loop that's open, you have a storyline where we haven't seen the denouement, where you have a conflict that's arisen that isn't resolved, where you have a question that's been asked that isn't answered, you increase the chances of people sticking around just to find out what happened or where this is going.
And you know what, Adam? That drives me insane when the news people do that. I'm like, why don't you just tell us the answer? And what I'll do is I'll tape it because I don't want to sit there for a half an hour and wait.
Yeah. Well, it also depends on what you're consuming. On Business Creators Radio, we structure our conversations with our guests so that the listener is basically a fly on the wall listening to a one-on-one mastermind conversation. Now, if I'm looking for news, and I don't spend all day on the news. I don't follow 24-hour news networks. I don't even have cable, and I don't subscribe to a lot of news networks. I spend about a half hour a day. I check out about 10 or 12 different sources that all have their own spin on something, and I try and put it together to figure out what the actual facts are, which leads to one other point I want to share with your listeners, and this is very important. I also say as a pattern interrupt, you want the truth? There's no such thing as the truth. They say, what? No such thing as the truth? And then they'll say, well, isn't that kind of like when Kellyanne Conway referred to alternative facts? And I'll say, well, that's the converse of that. See, there are facts not in dispute. There are things that can be scientifically proven, empirically proven, that we can point a video camera at and film, and we can demonstrate this really happened. So facts are facts. However, each person viewing has their own truth based on their experiences, their beliefs, their journey, their education, and what has happened for them. So we can be looking at the same facts, and we can each have a different view of those facts, and neither one of us is telling the truth or lying. We're each speaking from our own truth. It's for that reason that three people can view an incident that happened. All three of them can take a polygraph, give different answers, and all pass a polygraph. Because a polygraph doesn't test for facts. It tests for pre-verification, which is lying. So the polygraph is looking for evidence in your physiology and other factors that show that you are prevaricating or basically making a story up. But if you are speaking from your own truth, you're not going to be doing any pre-verification, so the needle's not going to start moving. Even if the person taking the polygraph in the next room is telling a different version and their needle's not moving either, you're each speaking from your own truth.
They can have, they can both be I guess, verified as being truthful while stating two very different facts about the exact same situation.
They're speaking their interpretations of it based on their own truth. And they can all be referring to the same facts. Something happened, but what happened?
And now we know why everybody has issues at holiday Christmas dinners with family.
Yes, you got it. Yeah,
Please
that's
explain
exactly
that. Adam, if you can explain that today, that will be, listen, you don't have to worry about what your listener stats will be. They'll be so through the roof. Howard Stern will have to leave XM Radio and Sirius Radio. So
I don't know if we'll ever quite explain that one. I think it's not for nothing, particularly with Thanksgiving dinners, that they schedule football games that day, because it allows 3/4 of the people just move in the other room and stare at a screen.
There you go. That's how they can get along together.
Yeah.
Great marketing. Well, I'm glad that we're touching on some of the most bizarre events in human history and having a chance to go over them a little bit. Adam, I want to ask you a quick question about your book, which is Groundhog Day is an event, not a business strategy. You mentioned that you utilize or that the work you do is based around a formula called the spring formula. Walk us through at least a little bit of that, if you would, please.
Okay, SPRING obviously even is an acronym. So the S, the P, the R, the I, the N, and the G, there's one chapter about each. So S is secrets of the mindset. So it's about, optimizing your mind. Then P has to do with prospects, how you handle prospects for your business and how to transform it into purchasers. R refers to the ripple effect and how to avoid it. So you've heard folks say that if you want to treat your customers well, you treat your employees and your contractors well. That's all about strategies on how to remove the ripple effect by pursuing just that. I has to do with the customer journey, basically. So what we're speaking about there is we are keeping in mind that just because somebody gave you money doesn't make them your customer. It just means you engage in a transaction with them. There are further steps you need to take before you move that person from being a transaction partner to an actual customer. And we walk through some of those. N, name your terms with powerful language. Well, the thing about traffic to your website is one example of that. Another is the idea that there's no such thing as the truth. The third is the idea that when you disagree with somebody, you should begin by the conversation by saying you agree with them. So it's how we subtly shift our words and make little adjustments to them, and how we can use that to remove barriers, to streamline conversation, make it easier for us to achieve more of what we want, and reduce other folks' resistance that may be created by your words. And the G just simply refers to the idea of it has to do with how you achieve maximum results through minimalism. But let me circle back to the end real quick, because I want to give your listeners one more example. And the reason I share some of these linguistic things is because it does have relevance for new media if you're using it as an influence and persuasion tool. So we haven't really gone off on a tangent. It's just a little loop that I opened, and now I'm going to close it and explain why this is so important when it comes to being an in-demand expert. Have you ever had somebody say to you something like, Tom, if you're anything like me, or Cindy, if you're anything like me?
Of course, you know that. And if you're anything like me, you're going to want to stick around for the next segment, the Imagine More Success radio show. We're going to be right back with Adam Hommey, where we're going to answer that question. Has anyone ever asked you if you're anything like me? So do stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome back to the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. We've been talking with Adam Hommey, who is from the website indemandexpert.com, the place where you can learn how to become an expert who is in demand, where you can create memorable experiences for listeners in the new media, people who are absorbing your content, whether it's on webinars, podcasts, radio shows, live streams, any kind of social media. In the previous segment, we've been talking about some really fantastic techniques on keeping people engaged to the media that you're creating as a new media creator. And Adam was just ending the last segment asking the question, has anyone asked you, if you're anything like me, or if they say to you, if you're anything like me? Adam, I've heard that. Cindy said she's heard it. I know everyone in the audience has probably heard it. Tell us the little hidden secret behind that.
Well, you're basically creating a point for disagreement, because now you're asking the question, are you anything like me? And I start to compare myself to you or vice versa, and I begin to see differences. And I know we have a limited amount of time and I want to share maximum value, but just think about, if you are asked that question, if you're anything like me, and do you see yourself starting to look for differences about how you're not actually like me? Here's a little shift you make. Instead of saying, if you're anything like me, say something like, if you like me are, if you like me believe. So instead of if you're anything like me, you say if you like me.
I like that too.
So what it does, it basically conveys the same idea, that there's a potential similarity between us. You're identifying your take on the position, if you like me, and you're also saying phonologically ambiguously, you like me.
Like me. I love it. That's
and you can also experiment with the converse of it, which is to say, I like you.
Very, very cool. I like the subtlety in it. That's beautiful.
Yes.
I think I'm going to save the other one for when I talk to a room full of tall, blonde, green-eyed blondes.
Okay.
That's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah, I'll save that one for then.
Adam, in the work that you do, kind of describe people that what their kind of emotional situation is like when they first come to you.
Basically, they're in a situation where they're looking to get more exposure. And then once we dig into it, we usually find that the reason is they want to make more connections. They feel they're not getting enough leads. They're not getting enough prospects. They're having a lot of these free consult calls that don't turn into business. And sometimes by a lot, that means they did one and it didn't go very well. Sometimes you have to break this down. Like I remember one time back when I used to do website conversion consulting, and we were managing a pre-launch survey for somebody, and they came back to me and said, everybody said that your email went out twice and it's an absolute technical disaster. And so I asked, who's everybody? It's like, well, lots of people. Really? Can you give me some names? Well, my wife got your email twice, but she's on my list under both her email addresses. So you just have, sometimes when you have to ask questions, you just go a little bit deeper and you base it upon the information and the vibe that they give you, and you can bifurcate deeper to identify what the real issue is. And what I'm saying is, many times when we go through that process, regardless of what they say, it comes down to they want to have more meaningful connections that can lead to business, whether they're speaking with prospects, whether they may be prospecting because they're looking to hire somebody, or they could be looking to be introduced to other folks' center of influences. So they start with the who do you know and work your way in.
Yes, I would have to agree with that 100%. So true. And I hear that all the time from so many people. Oh my gosh, this didn't work, that didn't work. But often you're right. It's not that it didn't work. It hasn't worked yet, or it hasn't, it will work if it's done properly and then scaled. Is that what you find as well then? Do you find that that's kind of a mindset?
I believe that if you start with done properly, as long as you don't veer into excessive perfectionism, that's a way to go. Because once you get your process down, once it becomes natural to you to do it, scaling actually becomes a lot simpler because you're so good at it, and because you have a process and an efficiency and an effectiveness having made it work for you. It's easier to just do more of it as compared to trying to do a whole bunch of it while you're figuring it out.
Yes, I would agree with that 100%.
Well, Adam, I am so excited to hear about your giveaway because I'm going to be one of the first ones to grab it. So can you tell us what it is and where they can get it?
Okay, so if you go to indemandexpert.com/language. Let me just make sure I got that right. Yes, I did. indemandexpert.com/language. I spent part of our time here today using examples of language shifts that can change the conversation and make you more of an in-demand expert, because it gives you the ability to appeal to people and create agreements regardless of whether or not you even know the first damn thing about them. That's another pattern interrupt there. And when you download this, you go to indemandexpert.com/language. You're going to discover the extended version of what I alluded to earlier, the truth about the truth, how there's no such thing as a truth. And we expand that, and I give you further examples and more information on how to apply that to your day-to-day thinking to reach people through their own eyes. And we will cover 10 and easy, fun languaging techniques that will remove some of those barriers. We alluded to one of them, which is the idea of saying, if you like me, instead of if you're anything like me. We do have some word-for-word stuff in there. And if you are somebody who likes to debate with people who have different opinions, I have a script in there for you as well that you can follow that will enable you to have a valuable conversation instead of screaming at the others saying fake news.
Do you see that in conversations these days? Because I see a lot of that, actually.
Oh, goodness
I see
gracious.
a lot of contention just in general these days when it comes to conversations with people.
Yes. And it's unfortunate. And this is why I encourage your listeners to go to this link and download it, because it will give you some tools that will enable you to have those conversations without even necessarily knowing anything about the other person you're having the conversation with. And when you're a guest on new media, you don't know who's listening. And when you apply some of these tactics, it will enable you to build bridges and grow connections with folks with who you haven't even met yet, without triggering one of their automatic defense mechanisms that could get them to change the channel on you before you even have a chance to have a sit down with them.
That's very insightful.
Because we're in that society where people want instant whatever it is they want, and if they're not hearing it or getting it, they're going to flip to something else. There are so many choices.
That is actually very true. I mean, think about how many folks approach watching a YouTube channel. They'll make their decision whether they're going to watch the video on that YouTube channel within 3 seconds, usually before the video even says anything.
Isn't that amazing?
It just blows my mind.
Yeah, and what's also interesting, and again, this is if you want to think about more about human behavior and things like that. Think about folks who are on conference calls and maybe even doing interviews. Now, I'm not doing this right now, but I'm just saying that somebody may do this. They may be giving an interview, and at the same time, they have YouTube open and they're streaming videos by watching the captions. This I'm not doing that right now, but that happens. And
Adam, I want to see a video of your studio right now.
It's me sitting on my balcony. But the point being is they may stream a few seconds of that video silently and decide they don't want to listen to it and just shut it down, or they may say, wow, these captions are telling me this is actually kind of interesting, so I'm going to hit pause, move it over to a separate browser tab, and come back to it after I'm done with this call or done with this interview.
Well, I'm going to tell on you, Thomas. He's got probably 6 monitors open right now.
Just three.
The other 3 are getting upgraded or something, but I'm telling you, he's one of those people.
We were discussing polygraphs earlier.
Yeah. I'm ready. I've got a tab open that says how to beat a polygraph, so I'm already ahead of you. Well,
and when you were talking about that, Adam, all I could think of was what they say to people going up to speak at the courthouse. Nothing but the truth, so help you God. They should change it to your truth.
Well, if they say your truth, and then there'll never be perjury convictions anymore. And that's also part of the reasons why it's easier said than done to get somebody on perjury, because how do you know they were lying? Yeah,
exactly.
Fascinating work that you're doing. This is really cool because there's so, it's one thing, like I said, to become an expert, that's an in-demand expert. It's another thing to get in, to imagine or to think about doing. It's another thing to get down to the nitty-gritty, and this is where you come in, really bringing some tremendous tools for individuals who are looking to do just that. Very cool stuff.
Yes, and communication is one of the top things in life, in business, and just about everything. And if you can have some tools to make you a better communicator, which you've offered freely to our listeners today, wow, grab your copy.
Yeah. Now, some of your listeners may have tuned in saying, well, but what are the 5 steps that I follow to get booked on podcasts? I have literature on that I can give you for free, and there are 100 other shows you can listen to on how to do that. That's actually a technical process that is well delivered through a coaching session. What I want your listeners to take away today is how to approach the in-demand expert and become a memorable in-demand expert through using some of these tactics. Think about your pattern interrupts like we covered, your opening and closing of loops at different times and sequences like we covered, and your use of bridging language like we covered that make people think back to that. And if they're thinking back to it, that has made it memorable.
That's beautiful. We've been on today with Adam Hommey. He is from InDemandExpert.com. We want you to stick around, come back with us in just a moment. This is the Imagine More Success radio show. If you want to listen to some past episodes, go to ImagineMoreSuccess.net and check out our courses. The Goal For It course at FindHiddenMoney.com. Do please stay tuned.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hides' life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
You're still here with the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. We've had a really fun interview today with Adam Hommey, who is the owner of InDemandExpert.com. He's also the author of a book whose title I just think is absolutely fascinating. Groundhog Day is an event, not a business strategy. In our previous segments, we've been talking with Adam about how to become an in-demand expert in utilizing what he terms the new media, which is webinars, podcasts, radio shows, live streams, social media interviews, and how to not just get booked on other people's shows and use it as a networking tool, but how to actually create a handful of language tools that you can utilize that will help to keep the audience engaged and keep them listening and help to create a bridge between you and your tribe and your audience. Adam, what were you just telling us just before we left? You were talking about...
I think what I was referring to is when we think of the phrase memorable in-demand expert, we think about the memorable piece of it. As I mentioned earlier, folks will listen to podcast episodes while they're running, jogging, doing other things, and eventually it turns into the the teacher in Peanuts. So not only are you competing with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people who are all trying to be on shows at the same time, and you're competing with the sheer number of shows that are live and on the air today, you're also competing with what your listener is doing at the time that they're streaming or listening to your episodes. So when you use pattern interrupts like we covered, when you use open loops like we covered, when you use bridging language like we covered, those are the things that create the points of memorability. So they listen back to that episode and they say, yeah, that's a guy that said that when people ask you for your listening and download stats, tell them it's none of your damn business.
Right. And that's a great example of that. I think that's very memorable, and that's probably what people will remember, at least one of the things they'll remember from the show today.
Yeah, and the last thing you need or want in your business is traffic to your website.
Yeah, you know what? When you said traffic to your website, and every time I hear people say that, all I can hear is Jimi Hendrix version of traffic, crosstown traffic. You know,
That's good.
And he said it's so hard to get through to you. You know, that always makes me. I was like, that's interesting.
Yes.
I thought it was
Well,
me. Apparently not.
back to pattern interrupts. Adam, I think one of my pattern interrupts on our show is humor.
Right. Yeah.
And I do
being
that
funny is
because
good, too.
otherwise, say that again?
Yeah, being funny is good too, especially if you tell a good joke.
Yes. Well, I listened to podcasts before I started our first one with Thomas, and some of them were kind of like you described of Peanut's teacher, where you just kind of fell asleep.
Yeah.
And I thought humor might be a great way to keep things rolling and not quite so.
Well, this is the thing.
monotone.
If you find a podcast or a radio show that helps you go to sleep, you know, it's perfect. Just play it before you want to go to bed. It's, you know, there's a usage for everything. You just got to find, you know, what it's for.
Hey, that's a great idea.
You know? Yeah. I got a list of a couple I'll share with you. So
Thanks.
be off air, of course.
Of course.
Adam, tell us a little bit more about how you use webinars in your business.
Well, webinars like email marketing are those things that are never really going to die. We see webinars being used still as sales tools where people will have people sign up for their webinar. They'll give about whatever formula you use, whether it's 10 minutes of intro, 20 minutes of content, 20 minutes of pitch, put the pitch at the 30 and the 60, make it 90 minutes. Well, this isn't about that. The point that I want to make today is that the webinar will remain a valuable tool and part of the new media because it has gotten easier than ever to produce and repurpose webinars. We have seen folks who will host webinars for their audience and then they will edit them down a little bit and repurpose them as podcast episodes. We have seen folks that will use something like the Zoom platform who will simultaneously have people on the Zoom platform, and they'll also be streaming it into a social media group using a live stream function. And they will be, therefore, simultaneously webinaring and live streaming. We see the same thing with podcasts as well, where the podcast is also a live stream. I've seen a number of shows do that. So the value of webinars is they also tend to stick around because when folks are looking for bonus content, greatest hits content, the webinar is a good converting webinar and you have an offer and you're getting a piece of the action or through as an affiliate or vice versa. And that keeps getting recycled because it's a signature piece of content they can use over and over again. Inside my Business Creators Toolkit, we have the webinar where we hosted Robert Plank, who is the co-founder of Backup Creator and Webinar Crusher and a bunch of other things. And we keep coming back to that one because we keep coming back. And that is a shout out to Robert. And I know he's probably listening because he's
amazing.
Me. He is.
Absolutely.
He's one of
Robert
our favorites.
Is awesome. I love that guy. I chat with him pretty much every day.
Are you serious? I'm so jealous right now.
And the reason I bring that webinar back from time to time, and I encourage people to sign up for the toolkit using that webinar as the bait, is because that webinar is not only how to use a plugin to back up your WordPress website, it's basically a coaching session on how to create multiple streams of revenue in your business.
And how can people get that from you?
Well, in that case, you just go to one of my other websites, which is businesscreatorsinstitute.com, and find a link to the toolkit, and you can sign up for it there.
Cool.
Can you repeat that one more time for us, Adam?
www.businesscreatorsinstitute.com.
Perfect.
And just find the button for the toolkit. That website is in the process of being re-engineered, so I don't want to say, well, go to the green button in the upper right-hand corner, because I don't know if that'll be the case or not. But you will find something fairly prominent that references a toolkit. That's where you go to sign up.
Cool. That's so, Cindy teases me all the time about Robert Plank, but he's an amazing guy. I love everything he does. I'm just trying to be like him. That's it. That's all I can say.
And then after I tease Thomas, I invite him to our show, which, by the way, he will be on next week.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh, how did I forget the date?
I will have to see. I was setting you up. So now Robert's going to be able to say Adam Hommey opened for me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I think we did that on your show, Adam.
What? Last week's person knows me?
No, the back and forth tee up for each other.
Okay.
It's a lot of good stuff. It's always great when you have someone who is there for you and who loves the work you're doing and is willing to share your stuff. It's really cool. Adam, it's been a real pleasure having you on today. We want to just encourage everyone to check out your work. It's at indemandexpert.com. Do go check out the free gift that Adam is offering as well, indemandexpert.com/language, where you can get 10 small language shifts that change the conversation. And that's going to help you create content which is very memorable and has the great pattern interrupts and bridging language that will help connect you to the audience and to your tribe. Adam, thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm very grateful to both of you.
Thanks, Adam. Until next time.
We've had a fantastic show today with Adam Hommey. Again, we do want to recommend that you check out his website, indemandexpert.com. Cindy, there is so much tremendous value in creating something that's interesting and memorable. And I always like to quote Craig Valentine, who's my mentor. He says, what gets recorded gets rewarded. And that's really a big part of one of the reasons why it's great to go on to people's shows and to do podcasts and to, not always worry just about, like he was saying, the listenership of an individual show, but use it as a way to build a new connection and to build a relationship, a very deep relationship with someone who can be a business partner.
Yes. And, people underestimate certain things. And I want to share what I've learned in my experience is that it only takes one idea to create a huge, massive thing in your personal or business life that is going to be amazing. And the other thing is it only takes one person, like Adam was talking about, to have a huge sale.
Yeah, very much so. And you know what? We spend a lot of time talking about the relationships between clients and people who are the creators. And we spend a lot of time on all these shows kind of doing that. And it's not something that's overstated because the relative importance of it is through the roof. It's so very important to build those relationships, to build that trust, and to build something that's really incredible, to build an amazing bond. And, all of our guests really come on and explain wonderful ways to do that, including Adam today.
Yes. And I would love for you to share with our audience today about our Find Hidden Money courses, because they're not just about finding hidden money. The hidden money is actually in each one of you. And what we do in our courses is to help you develop what it is that you need to find your hidden money.
Yes. If you want to learn how you can ignite the skills that you already have into tremendous money makers, and as well as to create new skills so that your toolbox of skill sets increase so that you can find, develop, and co-create with new clients and to build long-lasting relationships in your business that will help to propel it forward. Do check out findhiddenmoney.com. It is where you can get access to an online and in-person program, which Cindy and I teach, called Goal For It, which is based on the book that Cindy has written, and Goal For It, which is all about how to not just set goals, but to achieve them. So do check it out at findhiddenmoney.com. And there's a tremendous amount of information that's given in every single episode of the Imagine More Success radio show, as well as a free gift from every single one of our guests. If you want to check out past episodes, you want to go to imaginemoresuccess.com IMS.net, where you can get access to past episodes. We just want to remind you to realize your dreams and to imagine more success.